What's up, guys? It's Talia. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Tuesday, September the 15th. Almost at August. Today's video, I'm trying to keep it as short and concise as possible. I've already tried to record this video one time today, and it was way too long and rambly. And I don't like being that way because I would probably check out if it were something that I was watching. But I usually watch Flosstube while I stitch, so maybe not. But I didn't like it being too rambly, so I'm going to try to shorten it. There were things that I went into that I'm going to try to avoid going into again. There was something that I left out that I really wanted to mention. So we're going to try this again. Today's video, there's going to be a few whips. There's a new start. One of the few new starts for 2020 that I said I was going to go ahead and stick to, that I had planned. There's haul, but some of my haul is included in the giveaway that I'm finally going to go ahead and announce. So, without going into rambling too much, let's just go ahead and get into it, I guess. So, what did I work on these last couple of weeks? The first thing I want to show you, I didn't do a whole lot on, because I only got maybe about 30 minutes on it. And what it was I had some errands that I was going to go out to do before work one day. And I think I had to be there at like 2 o'clock or something that day. Or maybe 3. And so I knew there was a few things that I needed to do before I got to work. And I wasn't sure if I was leaving too early or not. So I took a project with me just in case I had extra time to stitch. And I did. By the time I pulled up to work, I think I maybe had about 30 minutes before I had to go in. So what did I work on? I worked a teeny tiny bit on the stained glass Ariel. I showed this last time in my last video. This is a design that I got from an Etsy shop called MagicStitching. However, it's no longer available in their shop. And this is where it's at right now. Literally, the only thing I did was the red in this little small section right here. And I didn't even finish the section, so that's all there is to it. Not much. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. We live near an intersection, even though it's out in the country. And they're doing construction on the road near the house, like on the crossroad. They're doing some kind of construction. I don't know if they're widening the road or if they actually think they're going to repave the road, because this is South Carolina. They don't do repaving. Well, they do, but it's not usually a very good job. So I keep hearing like the truck noises and stuff, and I don't know if it's going to come through in the video or not, but anyway, this is where it's at right now. Like I said, not much progress on it. And I know I say this every time. This is a Fabrics by LJ 16 count Ada, and I think the colorway is Sunlight or Sunshine or something like that. However, Lucas is no longer dyeing fabric. He stopped, I think, last year. So 16 count Ada with DMC. So that's the progress on it. Just that little bit right there. So I got done on it. Don't ask me why I keep this on the Q-snap, because I really do want to work on it. It's easy, like it's big chunks of color, but like my brain is never in the mood to work on it. So I don't know what's going on with that. my bangs are going to be funky today because I just cut them yesterday morning. I mean, I cut my bangs myself. I always cut my bangs myself. Sometimes they're a little bit on the shorter side than I would prefer. But like this is, if I straighten them out like this, they're going to look shorter on this side. That's just because of how my hair sits. I don't know why it does that. So my bangs are going to look a little funky today. I apologize. The next thing I worked on is I put a little bit more into the Barson Loughbro by Plum Street. And I am doing this in the called for fancy floss. However, the border on it was charted for one color, and I would actually like to be able to see the border, so I switched out for a different color that was also in the pattern. So this is where it's at right now. I believe, stay out of the way. I believe I was like over here on the border last time I saw you, and it's just a repeating border, so it's like super easy to work on, and it was like mindless. And so I came out the rest of the way on the border. I had previously I said my ear at, and then I finished that line out. There's a squiggly that goes out past that as well. And then I started on this line right here. So still working on that. I'm going to keep this out for Sampler September just because I want to keep working on it, and I really would like to finish at least the top half of this, because I think once I do that, then the bottom half won't take as long because it's just motifs. But we'll see. But I'm going to keep working on it. So, and this is just on a 36 count. It says Weigart linen. It's a solo dye, I know that much. I'm thinking it might be Silk Weavers, or it might just be a solo dye as Weigart. I don't know. I bought this several years ago off of Listia, I believe, or a Stash Unload, and the package plastic that it came in just said Solos, Weigarts. I think it's Silk Weavers. I don't even remember if it said Silk Weaver or not, but it's a close match to the fabric that's featured on the cover, so that's why I picked it. So, and got my Demon Dean needle minder. So, and I've actually been going back and trying to rewatch Supernatural. I started from the beginning, but of course that was like a month or so ago. But I'm thinking I may fast forward and just go back and watch season 15, this last season, on Netflix from the beginning, so that I'm caught up, because it comes back on October the 8th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's either the 8th or the 11th. I have to double check on that. But it's coming back for the last half of its final season, which I need to be ready for that. And I also worked on the Little Bit Fierce baby announcement that I'm doing, and I will insert a photo of what the full pattern looks like, and then I will also insert a picture of where I was at last time. And this is where it's at right now. Finished the quote. I think if I remember correctly, you guys will know if I'm wrong. I think last time I showed this, I had this line done. I was still working on this Fierce. I think I still had the RCE left to do. And that was all I had done. I have since finished this quote and then started on one of the corner flower arrangements, because there's one in this corner and then one in the bottom corner. Dang it. One of these days I will find the board that I had set aside to show these things on. They're nowhere to be found right now. So that is where it sits at right now. This is on a 16 count Crystal Heartland by Picture This Plus. So I am going to keep working on this. I took this off the Q-snap just to show you guys, because whereas I had moved the Q-snap to start working on the flowers, you couldn't see the full quote. After I moved my Q-snap, I had lost the needle that I had stuck to the back of the needle minder, and so I'm like, where's my needle gone? I had no idea where my needle went. I found my needle stuck in the fabric when I took it off the Q-snap. Like, it was literally like it was stuck through one thread of the fabric. So I don't know how that happens, but only happens to me, I'm sure. So this will get some more work on it today, because after my new start the other day, I put my start in it, and I'm going to reluctantly let it go for a while. I need to be strong. But the start that I had already planned to start in September, I did go ahead and start it. I had forgotten what day I planned on starting it. But when I finally went back to my notebook to see what day I had planned to start it, it was 10 days past that. So literally just 2 days ago, I started it. Today's Tuesday. I started it on Sunday, on the 13th. I started Lindy Stitches, Birds to the Boughs. And this is me and Andy's like anniversary piece. So, because I was going to start this in September, because our anniversary was on September 3rd. That we officially been back together. So, and I do have a working copy that I'm working off of, so I don't have to keep opening this pack. But anyway, I put my start in on it, and I know I inadvertently oriented this wrong, but it's still going to fit. It's just going to be 2 inches on each side instead of 3. But this was my start on it. Let me fold this in so you can see it better. This was my start on it. Just a little tulip motif in the center there, and then the branches are going to come through that the birds are sitting on. And then I kind of did the boat. And I think there's like flamingos here. I know they're birds, but I think they're meant to be like flamingos. Stephanie's kind of quirky, so they probably are flamingos. So that was my start on it. And fun fact, this boat, like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's just a teeny tiny bit wider on this side than it is on this side. It's charted that way. I did not mess up like that. It's charted that way. So it's deliberately imperfect, which I think is pretty cool. So this is my start on it. This is a 16 count Crystal Helix by Picture This Plus. So, and it's the fabric itself is kind of a dove gray, like a light gray, but with the sparkliness of it, it makes it look like it has a purple tint to it, but just barely. That's about this. Okay, for reference, this is like a mustard yellow, just to let you know. Trying to get the color here. Anyway, this color's not going to show up just right, but that's what it's on. If you know Picture This Plus colors, and you know what Crystal Helix looks like, or you know what the colorway Helix looks like. So, but that was my little start on it. I am going to be brave and strong, and I'm going to put it away, and it will come out to play another day. This is just being done with the called for DMC. So, but that was really fun to work on. It was fun, and it's stitching up really fast. Like yesterday, I worked a double, so I didn't really get maybe about 30 minutes or so on it in the morning before work. No, maybe an hour on it. But the majority of the rest of that was done Sunday, and then this morning I worked on it for a few hours. I finished off the bottom couple of rows of the boat. It's stitching up really fast. So, Lindy Stitches patterns are fun, and they go fast. So, that's all I've really worked on. I haven't gotten around to framing that piece for my coworker yet, unfortunately. I do plan on doing that today. I will, I promise. So let's just get into haul. That's the only natural place to go, right? So I got a few things. I mean, I've gotten several things in, but a lot of them are not going to be featured by themselves. A lot of them are going to be included in my giveaway. So last Tuesday, which is the day I went to my LNS, I had an appointment at the doctor that morning. Well, technically I had an appointment with the lab that morning to do a 3-hour glucose tolerance test. Fun times. Because a couple of weeks before that, I had the 1-hour test, and they contacted me a couple days later. They called me a couple days later and said, your glucose is a little high. Not bad, but a little elevated. So they wanted me to come back in and do the 3-hour test. And of course, like the night before, the test was scheduled for like 8 o'clock in the morning. So of course, like the night before, I can't eat anything after midnight that night. I felt like a gremlin. Well, I felt like a mogwai. I am correct in that. I felt like, and plus I was a little mad because I couldn't drink my coffee that morning. I could only drink water up until after the test, and I had to drink plain water. I couldn't even drink like my Propel water. It had to be plain water. And so I do my test. I felt like a pincushion because I got stuck twice in one arm. This one didn't bruise up. This one did. You can see that. Is that bruise? Yeah. That's where they chose to do the last 2 stickies. So after I left there, of course, I had to get something to eat. That was like the first thing I did. Went to Dunkin' Donuts. Got me a chai latte, an iced chai latte with vanilla, and one of their, I think like an apple fritter or some kind or something. But and then I went to my LNS to pick out some things for the giveaway. While I was there, I was looking through the patterns and such like that, trying to pick something to put in the giveaway. And I saw this, and there was really no second thought about it. I kind of had a treat yourself moment. So I picked up for myself, I picked up With the Needle 2 by Lila Studio. I fell in love with this pattern the moment I first saw Copy Stitcher show it. And I even asked him, I noticed there was a first one that was just like with a needle. And I asked him what the difference was. He said that he thought it was an extra panel, and it is. It's like With the Needle 2 has a 4th panel. The first one only has 3 panels. But I had to pick this one up, and it was the same price as if I would have bought it from their Etsy shop. And so I saved myself some printer ink by buying this. And I will probably do this the same way as I did the Lindy Stitches one. I'll print out a working copy, but maybe only like 1 page at a time or 2 pages at a time, what I need, instead of the whole thing at once. I don't know. It depends on how involved the pattern is, but I had to pick this up, so don't know when I'm going to start that. I'm hoping maybe sometime next year. I really want to start that. Never know. With me, you really, honestly, truly never know. And I also, for myself, I got another skein of, I think it's Weeks Dye Works. I think it's Weeks Dye Works, or maybe, I don't know. But it's called Manor Red. It's the red that I'm using for the text in Barson. I had to get another skein of that because I was getting a little bit low, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't run out. And I did compare the two skeins, so they do seem to be identical. So that's good. I also, in the mail, this past weekend, I got the 2020 Christmas ornament issue. There's a few things in here that I do like. Not a whole lot, but there are a few things. As far as what's on the cover here, I kind of like this one. And funny enough, that's by Tiny Modernist. I wouldn't have picked them as being the designer of that angel right there. Like that one. There's this one down here that I like. It's like an angel with a baby in her arms. There's a few things in here. I kind of like that Santa one right there too. I just like the style of him. So there's a few things in here that I like. Nothing that really like jumps out at me or anything. Nothing that's just like, stitch me, stitch me, stitch me. So anyway, so I got that. I'm not going to do a flip through of this because others have already done flip throughs of it. And if you have a subscription to just cross stitch, then you're going to get it regardless. So, yeah, there's a few things in here that I liked. There's one in here by Liz Almonds that I kind of liked. It's like a blue Christmas one. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, I happened to turn right to it. Where is it? This one. That one is by Liz Almond, the Black Art Journey. Kind of like that. I don't know if I would do it in the blue though. Could possibly maybe do it in a red. Maybe. Where's the other one? There's one in here. I like this one right here too. I like that they made it different. They stitched it on Murky by Picture This Plus. So a lot of people will use Murky for like Halloween patterns and spooky patterns and stuff like that. But you don't really think too often of stitching a Christmas piece on Murky. So that I just found that interesting. And then, sorry, this was the cover of that section. So this one is by Rosewood Manor. Liked that one. I mean, I like it, but I don't love it. Never know. I may fall in love with it later on. And then this one right here. This one right here is like specialty stitches. I want to say it's smearing acrosses. There's not a, I don't see, to be perfectly honest, there's not any regular cross stitches in it, except for the tree trunk. This is all specialty stitches right here. The trunk is the only regular cross stitches there is. So I think that's a little interesting. But there's a few things in here that I could possibly see myself stitching one day down the road. I'm sorry, but he just looks too much like the one that I did, the Snowflakes for Sale by Carolyn Manning, and that is a Carolyn Manning snowman, but he just looks too identical to that one that I did. Otherwise, he's cute. So, also this week, or technically last week, I had gotten an email from 123 Stitch that a pattern that I had put in for a notification from, that a pattern that I had requested was back in stock. And I shouldn't have clicked on that link, and I shouldn't have went to the website, because not only was it back in stock, it was on sale. So, add to cart. When looking for a second one for something else, because no pattern can travel alone, added it to cart, checked out. And it arrived, actually just arrived yesterday. So, the pattern that came back in stock that I had to have was Plum Street Samplers Cinnamon Stars. So, and the funny thing is, when I first saw this pattern, like back in the day when it first came out, it wasn't one of my favorites, but the more people have shown it, the more I like it. So, I had to have it, especially because like these stars, I've seen it stitched up and it is gorgeous. Like these stars right here, they remind me so much of like quilting stars that you see in quilts. And so I just think they're gorgeous. I have found a love since my mom started quilting a while back, and she didn't do like these. She just does like the regular square blocks and sew them together. But I found a love for quilting motifs. So, got that. And like I said, because no pattern can travel alone, I went ahead and picked up my second leaflet in the Prairie Schooler alphabet. So, now I have 2 out of, how many? I think it's 13 or 9. I think it's 9. I don't know, something like that. So I'm just going to acquire these one by one, or maybe one day I'll be able to get 2 at a time. But I'm just going to acquire these little by little, sporadically, and eventually start it. So that's what I got there. Oh, and got a little freebie from Hands-On Design at the LNS when I went to visit. So that's all the goodies. Oh, I got my card from Andrea at Andrea's Cautionary Tale. And this is the Salem Witch Museum. She had a kind of a contest for you to put your name in a hat if you wanted to win one of, I think it was 13 cards that she had, postcards that she was going to send out. And I got one. So, at that. And when this came in the mail that day, I was looking at Salem Witch Museum. And Andy was like, why are you getting postcards from the Salem Witch Museum? And I'm like, it's not from the Salem Witch Museum technically. It's from Andrea. So, thank you, Andrea. Or I never know how to say it. Is Andrea? Andrea? Anyway, thank you so much. This will go on my fridge. And my kid will one day say, Mommy, why do you have witch stuff on your fridge? I don't know. I just think it's pretty. I'm saving it because I got it from Andrea. So, that's all technically the haul. I did want to mention, before I get into the giveaway, that a couple of the patterns, a couple of the designs that I have in my whip pile, that came out of it's a magazine called The Gift of Stitching. It was a digital magazine. And they have basically opened up their site, whatever you want to call it. They're basically they've opened it up again to where you can get all 72 issues over their 6-year run, I think it was. All 72 issues for the low price of $39.99. When I bought it off of their shop on Etsy, there were extras in there, but I paid almost $100 for this collection. So that's a pretty good deal. And I think they also have another deal where you can get just their Christmas issues, which is really just their issues for December every year. Like they were released pretty much monthly. And so every December issue, they would call their Christmas issue. So, or their special ornament Christmas issue, whatever. So, and I think that's $10.99 if you want to get those. But if you want to get the whole collection, it's only $39.99. I think it's still open. I'm pretty sure it's still open. So, there's tons of great patterns in there by now famous designers and even other people. There's fun stuff in there. There's a lot of samplers, a lot of prim stuff if you're into that. The long dog samplers, mystery sampler that I'm doing, that came out of there. I think the Berland sampler that I'm doing, that came out of there. So definitely, if you, this is your chance. If you've seen anybody stitching anything from the Gift of Stitching, now's your chance to go get it. I don't know how much longer it's going to run, so don't procrastinate. Just saying. And so I'm a little sad also that Mary Rose from Stitch Bliss Corner was no longer going to be doing Flosstube. I think she's still going to be hanging around and watching videos. She's just not going to be filming videos. And she's such a lovely person. She really is. Like, she has left such wonderfully uplifting and kind comments on some of my videos. And I love seeing her comments in my videos. It always makes me smile and always makes me like, aww. So I had to leave her a comment and said, hopefully, you'll still hang around. I like seeing your comments on my videos. She's like, I will always watch your videos. I've even watched your diamond painting video, which I don't even do. And she mentioned that she was surprised that that Jesus walking along the beach, that picture, that I think she just showed in that last video. She said she was surprised to see that video. She said she was surprised to see that picture as a diamond painting. I think that I showed in one of my unboxings. So, she's such a sweet, lovely lady, and I wish her all the best in this world. And hopefully, maybe, possibly one day she'll come back and do another Flosstube video. One can only hope. So, yeah. I'm looking at my bag of giveaway. So, I really think this is the best giveaway I've ever done. I really do. I wanted my giveaway to kind of have a basis of things that I like, things that I have, things that I use, that kind of thing. So, first off, your giveaway will come in one of these. See, you can see your giveaway will come in one of these. This is the Alvin brand. So this is the good quality kind. I wanted to get one that had the blue zipper, but they didn't have the one with the blue zipper. They only had black or red. So I had to get black. So these are really good quality. I have several large projects in these bags. Lost Boys, which is basically on a half yard of fabric. I know I think the dimensions on that fabric are something like 36 by 42 or 44 or something like that. It's a big boy. So yeah, or a yard of fabric actually. This will hold a floss box. So you can fit lots of stuff in here. Like I said, it'll hold a floss box. So what are you gonna get in this video? What are you gonna get in this giveaway? hold on. Sorry about that. Andy came home. And I didn't want to just like keep talking. So, giveaway. What I was mentioning in, let me take this stuff out so that I can show you the bag better. So my giveaway, all kinds of stuff falling out here. So it's going to come in one of these bags, and you can fit, let me see, no, Lost Place is in the other room. But you can fit a lot in these bags. Like I said, I've got basically pretty much a yard of fabric, a pattern, and a floss box in one of these, this size. So, it comes in one of these. I don't know if I said that enough. And I'm also going to be putting in there, I'm going to show you the main things that are going to be in there, but whoever wins this giveaway is not, there's going to be other stuff in here. It's not going to be just what I showed. So first and foremost, you get one of these. I have a pair of these in this color. Cute little snips, and they're like a plastic jelly. They're really cute. So those are going in there. I also am including one of these stitch gauges by Yarn Tree. It says 4-in-1. Thread count, needle size, strands of floss, and ruler. How would you... I don't know how you would find needle size. Oh, okay. It's just something that I noticed. There's something that I noticed on here. So, I have one of these, and it's funny enough that I've never noticed it. But as far as the way I use this, I have used this both to figure up my starting point, because if you put this on the edge of the fabric, go 3 inches in, there's your starting distance, or 2 inches, wherever you prefer. I've also had to use this a few times to figure out the fabric count, because for whatever reason, I've gotten a piece of fabric and the label or whatever has come off, and I needed to make sure that it was the count that I thought it was. But it's good to have, especially if you purchase mystery linen or mystery fabrics on the internet. And what I was saying is, I just noticed this, is that for all these different counts, and how you figure out your count is you match these lines up to the holes that are in the fabric, and it'll tell you what your count is. What I just noticed was, for all of these counts, see that number in red right there? That's how many strands you use of floss. So if you were stitching on, say, 18 count, you could get away with two strands. Some people might want to use one. 16 count, it says 2. I usually use 2 on 16 count. And then you can do like 25 count, you can either do 1 or 2, 28 count, 2 or 3, yada yada. So that'll give you the count, and it'll even tell you what needle size that you should use. Like 11 count, it tells you to use a size 20 needle. But then once you get into like 18 count, 26 needle, 28 needles here on your higher counts here. So this gives you all kind of good information on here. And bonus, it's magnetic. So if you have something metal that you can stick this to, there you go. I don't stick mine to anything. I have a box that has like miscellaneous stuff in it that I keep over by the couch. If I ever need it, I know where it's at. So I'm including one of these. Well, that's going in the bag. And speaking of 26 needles, you're getting a pack of my favorite Bowen size 26 needles. I'm also including a needle threader. The threader itself is by My Big Toe Designs, but I get these on Etsy from a shop called Sassy to Stitch. And these hold up really well. This wire goes all the way through the bead, and it's like it's soldered in place down there. This holds up really well. I had one before, but eventually it did break because I'm a little rough on them sometimes. But this will even go through a size 28 needle to be able to pull a thread through. These are great. So I am throwing in one of these. And I do have a new one now. So I had one before. It did eventually break after a while. But I have a new one now, and I'm giving you one. Also going in the bag, I found this cute little pattern from Heart and Hand. It's called Stitching Bird. And this is going to be a small pattern. It is 42 by 79. It does call for, the fancy flaws, Classic Colorworks, General Arts, Weeks Dye Works, but it also has a DMC conversion. So, thought that was cute. And I don't usually get those little patterns like that. And then I also, the big kahuna of this giveaway, I picked up Mirabilia's Snow Queen. So she is a big girl. If you've never seen this pattern or if you don't know anything about it, the stitch count on this is 294 by 243. So pretty hefty lady. Lots of beads, like seriously. I will show you. This is the floss list, the bead list. It takes like 2 separate colors, but each color needs 2 skeins of Karen water lilies. There's a Rainbow Gallery Whisper Thread, acrylic, 2 colors of acrylic. I actually think I have one of them, but I didn't want to include just the one without being able to include the other one. And they didn't have the Karen water lilies. They didn't have the one acrylic that I needed. There is a little bit of blending of the DMCs for like 3 symbols. Lots of Mill Hill beads. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 different Mill Hill beads. And one of them you need 3 packs of. And then also 2 different Mill Hill treasures, which I think one of them says you need 5 packs of, or 5 pieces of. I don't know how that is. But that's the floss list. That's the lady. She is blingy, and she is fantastic. The called for fabric on this one is by White Shell. It's called Twilight Blue. You can either do it on 32 count linen or 16 count Aida. My LNS did not have a piece big enough in Twilight Blue by White Shell, so I picked the next comparable one, which is Country French Rain 32 count by White Shell. And looking at the Twilight Blue compared to this, the Twilight Blue is a little bit darker. It actually looks darker than what's on the photo. So this one, it's a comparable color. If you want to stitch this on this fabric, and you have half a yard here, because a quarter yard of that quarter was not big enough. So you have a decent size, and you won't even need all of this. you'll probably still have enough left over. If you were to cut this just right, you could still have a piece left over for another design. So, I really wish I could show how this is really coming across, but it's not coming across that great. It's a vintage blue, with a slight, ever so slight green tint to it. So, you get that in your giveaway. And even though I couldn't get the beads and the acrylic and all that stuff, I did manage to pick up the whisper thread that it calls for. So you'll get this as well. So that's what you know about. There will also be other goodies thrown in, for good measure. And I will open this giveaway up to anyone in the world, as long as you're a subscriber. You have to be a subscriber. And I would prefer you be over 18 or over, so that you can legally give me your address. And yeah. So I will check to see if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, sorry, you can't enter. I will give this 2 weeks, because as much as I would like to leave it open as long as possible for anybody who wants to enter, my views usually taper off after like the first week or so. So I'm only going to give this 2 weeks, and I will draw another name in my next update, which I think will probably be on the 29th, somewhere around there. So I will leave this open until the 29th. So get your name in the hat for that. Like I said, that's probably my best giveaway that I've ever done. I spent way more for you guys for that giveaway than I had intended. So I really, honestly, like, I don't care if you say giveaway, because I'm probably going to put giveaway in the title. So just let me know down in the description box what your favorite memorabilia is. That's what I want to know. So yeah, I think I'll do that. If you want to enter, you have to let me know. You have to put the word memorabilia somewhere in your comment. What your favorite memorabilia is, whether you stitched it or not, or whether it's a unicorn. Just tell me what your favorite memorabilia is, and I will use that as a guide to draw a winner. I don't know. I'm not able to talk very well right now. So, but yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for me today, guys. I hope that you get something out of this video. I hope you enjoy seeing my whips and my hauls and all that good stuff. As far as any future plans, I know I'm going to keep working on Little Bit Fierce. I'm going to try to keep working on Susanna, why do I keep trying to call it Susanna Rainbow? I'm going to try to keep working on Ann Barson. But if I decide not to keep working on Ann Barson, I have a few things that I'm trying to wait at least until October to pull out and work on. But they're kind of screaming at me from inside their box, even though I haven't gone near them. So I kind of want to pull out Last Stitch Cemetery, and I kind of want to pull out my Plague Crow, because I know I haven't worked on that since I started it. But we'll see what gets pulled out, I guess. So, you know me. But as far as my update, that's going to be it for me today, guys. leave me comments. I love seeing your comments, whether it's about the giveaway or not. I always like reading comments. If you have any questions about anything I've shown or anything that I've talked about or anything going on in my life, I don't care. I'm an open book for the most part. But just don't be afraid to ask. And until I see you guys again next, be good. Bye.